The first whisper reached me in the form of a headline. Her name, my wife's, printed beside words like scandal and affair. I read it twice, slowly, my pulse steady. 7 years had passed since she slapped me in front of the crowd, her cap still on her head, my dignity scattered on the stage floor. I packed my life in a single night, vanished like a ghost, and came back as something no one recognized, the town's first billionaire. Success is a cruel disguise. People shake your hand, but they never forget the story of how you were humiliated. They wait for weakness. They search for cracks. But this headline, it wasn't about me. It was about her. She had fallen. And for the first time in years, I felt something close to satisfaction. Rumors poured in quickly, too quickly. Her affair with a married professor, the divorce that followed, the custody battle she was losing. Everyone who once clapped when she slapped me was now whispering about her downfall. But whispers weren't enough. I needed facts. I needed truth I could hold in my hands, cold and undeniable. So I read court filings, hired quiet investigators, followed trails of emails, bank transfers, recordings. The picture sharpened, a woman unraveling, affairs stacked on top of lies, debts hidden in accounts she thought no one would find. The betrayal I had buried 7 years ago wasn't a single moment. It was a habit, a reflex. She had been unfaithful long before her public strike. And after I vanished, she kept feeding that hunger until it consumed her. I didn't feel rage, not anymore. Rage is fire, and fire burns out. What I felt was colder, sharper, a blade honed over years of silence. I returned to the town quietly. No announcements, no grand entrances. Just a car that no one recognized and a face they tried to place but couldn't. I went to the places where her name had once been spoken with reverence. The university, the courthouse, the house she once mocked me for being unable to afford. All gone. She lived in a cramped apartment now, curtains drawn, her car rusting in the lot. Her neighbors knew her only as the woman who argued loudly at night and smoked on the balcony at dawn. I watched her from a distance. The woman who once spat on my ambition now carried grocery bags heavy with discount labels. Still, I didn't confront her. Not yet. Confrontation is a weapon, and weapons should only be drawn at the right moment. Instead, I kept digging. Phone records, employment files, medical notes. Every detail carved into the portrait of a woman undone by her own choices. By the time I was finished, I held her entire ruin in my hands. I waited until she was in court, fighting for custody she was destined to lose. I sat in the back, silent, watching her search the room for familiar faces. Her eyes met mine. She froze. A flicker of recognition, confusion, fear. I didn't smile. I didn't nod. I simply set the folder down on the bench beside me. A folder thick with every document, every photo, every truth she had buried. When recess came, she approached me, trembling. "What do you want?" Her voice cracked. The same voice that once told me I'd never be anything. I leaned close, my words soft enough for only her. Nothing. I already have everything. I left the folder behind. Her hands shook as she opened it, each page breaking her a little more. I didn't testify. I didn't need to. The evidence was enough. The court saw it. Her ex-husband's lawyers devoured it. By the time the gavel struck, she had lost custody, her job, and her last shred of dignity. Outside, she found me by the courthouse steps. Her face was pale, her words desperate. "You ruined me!" I looked at her the way you look at a stranger on the street, calm, detached. "No," I said, "you ruined yourself. I just showed them the truth." She collapsed onto the steps, sobbing into her hands. I walked past her, the crowd parting around me. That night, I stood in the empty house I had bought on the hill, the one she once said I'd never afford. The lights of the town spread below like a quiet battlefield. I thought of the boy I used to be, humiliated, small, the man who packed his life in boxes and disappeared. He was dead. What stood in his place was colder, smarter, untouchable. I poured a glass of whiskey, sat by the window, and let the silence settle. Revenge isn't fire, it's ice, slow, patient, absolute. And in the end, it doesn't scream, it whispers. Final line, she thought she ended me with a slap, but all she did was carve the man who would end her story in silence.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and comment. Subscribe now to Cheating Stories Insight World for more amazing stories.